Actually, this is a great example of the character trait honor, and I am so thankful Mrs. Allen gave me this opportunity. To me, honor is being willing to work hard and taking advantage of opportunities. Honor also means keeping your word. If you say that you're going to do something, do it without complaining. Like at home, my chores are to take out the trash and feed the dog. That means I do it without being asked or whining. That's not always true, but I try my best. A lot of people in life need help sometimes. It can be an honor to help them, like serving the Thanksgiving dinner at church or when I helped collect peanut butter and jelly for the food pantry. It is honorable to see other people's needs and serve them. I also feel honored when I get to acolyte at my church. I do not love to get up early or wear the heavy robe, but it feels special to do an important job and grow in my faith. Chances to be honorable are all around us. We just have to watch for it and be willing to do the right thing.
Great job, Drew.
Thank you. Great job.
Don't leave yet, Drew. We have a little gift for you, and I'd like you to introduce I guess that's your mom over there only. Did your mom come with you?
Yes, sir.
Introduce her to us.
This is Laura Kirschmer, my mom.
All right. And Drew, thank you for honoring us coming off of your summer vacation to present the character trait for us. I have one more question for you, though. Are you an Aggie fan?
Yes, sir.
I knew you were. All right, dig 'em. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. A lot of special people in the crowd and a lot of community partners, and I want to welcome all. I want to give a special welcome to our city manager, Sylvia Carrillo. Thank you for being here and all your help, and we're going to elaborate on that here just a little bit. And then we have retired school board member Molly McClure is present in the audience. She's here representing the We Believe with the Bastrop Chamber. So Molly, welcome. Thanks for coming back. All right. At this time, we'll move into our special recognitions. We're going to talk about campus partners, district partners, business partner of the year, as well as community partner of the year. And our presenter will be Karen Trevino, Director of Community Relations.
Thank you, Mr. Muchink, Mr. Edwards, and members of the board. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to recognize some very special community partners who've supported our schools over the past year. We asked each campus to select a community partner of the year. We also asked them to nominate a district partner of the year, and from those nominations, we have selected a couple, which we'll recognize here in just a minute. If you, as I announce each campus partner, if you are a representative of the business, please come up to be recognized, and also if you're a campus administrator, please come up as well. So I will start with, maybe. Is it on? Thank you. This is why we pay you the big bucks. All right, I'd like to start with Bluebonnet Elementary's Community Partner of the Year. This year, the small team from Equitable in Austin adopted not only Bluebonnet, but 2 of our other elementary campuses in our district. At Bluebonnet, they provided breakfast for Teacher Appreciation Week and helped teachers on their last day of work. Equitable's commitment to education and student success is truly appreciated. Have anyone from Equitable? Thank you so much. Each year we recognize A+ Federal Credit Union for their contributions to our schools. This year they were selected by Camino Real Elementary as their Community Partner of the Year. A-Plus has supported students at this year's STEAM Fest and provided treats and a raffle donation for teachers during Teacher Appreciation Week. They also sent someone from the team to speak with parents on the campus's Math Science Night. We appreciate all that A-Plus does for us. I know we have some A-Plus folks here. Thanks, Eric. Cedar Creek Elementary selected MRC Metal as their Community Partner of the Year. MRC Metal has provided T-shirts, snacks, and meals for staff, and they provided for families during their Cookies with Santa event. They've stepped up multiple times this past year to ask what was needed and never said no. Dr. Hernandez from Cedar Creek Elementary added, "We are so appreciative of all the support and love MRC Metal has shown CCE. Both father and son have been so generous, and we look forward to many more years of a continued partnership with this fantastic company."
You can bring the cute kids. I mean,
Bring the rest of them?
of course.
Jada. Okay.
Aw. Colony Oaks Principal Christy Kismore shared, "The David Weekly team has been a true community partner this year. As an adopt-a-school partner, they took the time to ask about the needs of the campus and have always come through when asked for their support. Their contributions include gathering a team to assemble picnic tables and sponsoring bounce houses for the spring carnival. Colony Oaks Elementary greatly appreciates all that David Weekly does for them." One, two, three. All right, before we get to our next campus community partner, we have a special presentation. I'm going to invite Dr. Lee to come up and make this special presentation.
Thank you. We're just going to go out of order really quickly because, as you said, we're thankful to have Sylvia Carrillo, our city manager, here, but unfortunately she has to get to another meeting and needs to be leaving. So we have selected the city of Bastrop as our community partner of the year. Not only have they been instrumental in working with the school district on all of our bond projects, educating us about the process of permitting and the things that we need to submit, helping us through that process, offering advice and consultation. But in addition, just the regular meetings and communication and access that we have to Sylvia and her staff. They've been very generous with their time. You know, if you've driven around Bastrop, you've seen the roads are under improvement right now, and they invited us into that process so that we could give our feedback and input because it was going to impact our schools, and they took that advice, and so many other things that they have done to build our relationship, and we're very appreciative, and we look forward to continuing that relationship, not only because it impacts our continued construction and bond projects, but we believe that it's of benefit to all of our school children and our teachers and our community when we work together instead of separating ourselves. So our community partner of the year is the City of Bastrop, and I would like to invite the whole team to come up. We've got Sylvia Carrillo, our city manager. We have Andreas Rosales, assistant city manager, and James Doc Cowie as well. Come on, right up here.
Awesome. Thank you. Our partner for the year for Emile Elementary is Reliable Refrigeration and Commercial Kitchen Equipment, or RRACKE for short, thank goodness. Principal Wendy Burnett shared RRACKE has been tremendous support for our teachers and students this year. They've served behind the scenes and provided many needed resources for our campus. We're grateful for their support and appreciate their generosity. Do we have anyone from? Ah, yeah. Thank you. Lost Pines community partner for this year is Ally Medical. Susan with Ally is basically a one-woman army. She's provided staff lunches for Teacher Appreciation Week and also for Thanksgiving. Plus, she's been known to randomly show up and bring treats for the staff. Principal Leslie Ringstaff said Susan and Ally are so generous, and we love getting to be their partner. Only the best way. The partner for the year for Meaner Elementary is KC Outfitters. Carrie with KC Outfitters never says no when MENA administrators ask for something. From gift cards to door prizes to spoiling teachers with treats, KC Outfitter is always there to support students and staff. I don't know if we have anyone. Round of applause for Casey. Okay, I know this group is here. First National Bank has been a wonderful community partner to Red Rock Elementary this year, providing support and encouragement for teachers and staff. Principal Katie Felker says of them, their commitment to fostering a strong, supportive relationship with the school has cultivated a sense of community, making a lasting, positive impact on both the students and staff of Red Rock Elementary. Phil Malley was selected as the community partner for both Bastrop Intermediate and Bastrop Middle Schools. This partner supported Bastrop Intermediate's theme for the year by donating large amounts of popcorn to be used for their school-wide rewards, PTA movie nights, and Teacher Appreciation Week. We're also pleased to share that they'll be joining us for this year's Back to School Bash with plenty of movie theater popcorn on hand. Do we have anyone from? No? All right. Thank you, Phil Malley. RJM Construction was selected as the Community Partner of the Year for Cedar Creek Middle School. They revitalized both gyms, the hallways, and doors to promote pride in boys and girls athletics and dance. As Principal Risa Cooper shared, their revitalization will serve as a source of pride for students, staff, parents, and community members for years to come. The community partner for Circa is Dr. Chad Byler. Dr. Byler was exceptionally generous in his support of the Circa PTA and their courtyard project. With his donation, Circa was able to purchase 5 outdoor tables with umbrellas for the students to use before school, after school, and during lunch. Dr. Byler? And Mr. Conradi got a twofer because he also was able to select a community partner for Genesis High School. Bluebonnet Electric was also a donor for Circa PTA project. The Genesis students use that courtyard as well, and so Mr. Conradi wanted to recognize Bluebonnet as being a community partner since the students were able to benefit from those picnic tables. We have. Sorry. Okay, don't go anywhere, Bluebonnet. I'm going to invite Dr. Lee back up.
Yeah, so we are, the district also selected its business partner of the year. And so very pleased to say that Bluebonnet Electric is also the district's business partner of the year. Not only do you routinely do things for all of our schools, but back to school bash and providing water for graduation, and most especially, again, as we've gone through this, these construction projects, Bluebonnet Electric has provided invaluable advice and support so that we can make sure that we're doing the right thing in the right way for all of our students and staff. And I know that I'm not sure about you, Wesley, but I know that these 3 right here are also volunteers and lead the sportsman's effort so that, you know, the teachers can write grants and have grants awarded. So thank you just individually what you do, and that Bluebonnet is a company that allows you to do that. So Bluebonnet Electric, our business partner of the year.
Names that were announced too that are also big supporters of the Bastrop Sportsman's Banquet, and like Dr. Lee said, those monies do go right back into the classrooms within the grants that the teachers write. So thank y'all very much. It means a lot. It definitely takes all of us to keep things moving forward here. So we really do appreciate it. All right, moving along here, that'll take us into our, no one signed up for open forum. We'll move into our public hearing on proposed application for an optionable flexible school day program for 2024 to 2025. A would be optional flexible school day program report for 2024 and 2025. B will be to consider approval to submit application for the optional flexible school day program, OFSDP, for eligible students for 2024 to 2025. Our presenter will be Amanda Brantley, Director of College, Career, and Military Readiness. Welcome, Ms. Brantley.
Mr. Edwards and members of the board, I am pleased to come before you this evening to present our OFSDP application and our public hearing. It's definitely a mouthful, so it's a lot more fun just to say OFSDP. So what OFSDP does for us is it allows us to run a dropout recovery program, and that's what we do through Genesis High School. So the goal of our OFSDP is to improve our overall graduation rates, ensuring that all of our students are able to achieve the credit that they need to move on with a high school diploma. Again, Genesis Alternative High School is our program for OFSDP. And yearly, we need to submit a new application to the Texas Education Agency that provides flexible hours and days of attendance for our students who are most at risk of not graduating high school, so that they are able to actually be successful with regaining and earning new credit to move forward toward graduation. So each year, we're required to hold a public hearing to review our annual performance from the program, and then also look at the application for continuing into the next school year. So these are the numbers from this past year at Genesis High School. So this is 23-24 school year. I lost a year there. And you'll see how it compares to what our 22-23 data was. So we did have more students at Genesis this year. We actually, in the fall semester, opened it up to a second round of students coming in. So generally, we'll have students that trickle in kind of through August, September, into October, and then we kind of lock it down until after graduation in January. We knew that we had students that were just awaiting scores, so we allowed them to await their scores, and we ushered in a new group of students, which allowed more students to come through the program and regain the credit that they needed to be successful high school graduates from Bastrop ISD. So we did have a 9% increase in total enrollment, a 43% increase in credit earned. The reason for that is we were able to get students in sooner, so they were able to get out sooner as well, so they regained more credit instead of waiting at their home campus to get into Genesis. And then we had a 23% increase in graduates. So with our application, our students have to meet specific criteria to come over to Genesis. They need to be at risk of dropping out of school. They need to have attendance hold on credit, so being denied credit based on attendance at their home campus. They can be a student who's in early college high school, a student in an innovative campus plan, or be part of the community-based dropout recovery. The first two bullets are what Genesis serves for Bastrop ISD. Students need to have a written application and permission of their parent to attend if they're under 18 years of age. The students will meet with the counselor and the administrator at their enrollment meeting for the campus to talk about the flexibility of their attendance and what that means for them, as well as the credits that they need, the STAR EOC scores that they may still need to obtain, and everything they'll need to do to graduate from Genesis. Again, the students have to be at risk. There's 13 different indicators that make a student at risk, so they must meet one of those areas. And then once the transcript is analyzed, they're given approval by their counselor and their home campus principal to go to an intake conference with Mr. Conradi at Genesis. This is our current staffing for Genesis High School. It has not changed from previous years. We have a counselor and nurse shared with Circa, as well as principal and assistant principals shared with Circa, 7.5 teachers that cover all of the core and elective areas. And then we also make sure that students receive any special program support that they may need through special education, pregnancy-related services, or emergent bilingual support. There's also been a social worker intern placed at Genesis to help with wraparound services for our students. Our school day runs from 8:30 to 4 p.m. Students within that time frame must attend for 45 minutes in person or potentially virtually, but that's their requirement. That's where the flexible piece comes in. Students may have other life commitments or issues that are preventing them from attending successfully full day at their home campus, so that's where their flexibility comes in, but they must attend 45 minutes a day to receive attendance. Our goals are that 100% of the students will stay in the program or return to their regular high school program, and they will not drop out of school. Again, this is our dropout recovery program. We don't want them to get to that point. And then 100% of our students will show performance gains on their state assessments. These are the agreements that we make with TEA when we are operating an OFSDP. We will deliver any mandatory assessments during the regular testing cycle for STAR EOC. We will provide instruction at the high school grade level. Students won't be isolated from other academic or vocational programs. We do have CTE programming that runs at Genesis. And we will provide knowledgeable, highly qualified staff. We adopt a policy that requires students to attend regularly scheduled instruction for OFSDP with attendances for non-attendance. So just like at their home campus, if they're not coming to school, we're still going to send folks out to find them and figure out what's going on and bring them back to campus. We will comply with all reporting requirements of TEA. And being in OFSDP prohibits students from participating in UIL activities. So that's not something that is available to our Genesis students. We will not discriminate against our students. Any student that's eligible to attend Bastrop ISD and meets the criteria of attending the OFSDP is allowed to do that. And we actively track dropouts and try to recover those students and get them back to campus. Again, Genesis will still serve as our OFSDP site. Are there any questions?
Since this is a public hearing, are there any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board?
Do you know what we graduated this year? I mean, this was the biggest so far, right?
It was the biggest so far. I think it was 173.
Oh, it was, yeah.
I'm sorry, 212. It was 173 last year. Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
Is there any type of negative impact by getting this application?
There's not. What it does is it allows students to attend for 45 minutes a day and gain the same ADA funding that they would for a student attending full day at the high school. So we're still getting the same funding for those students. It just allows them more flexibility in their schooling to be able to deal with whatever life has handed them and get out.
You said possibly work virtually. Is that something we're working on, or are you?
It's something that we're exploring at this point. I don't know if that's something that will happen in the next calendar year, but it is something that I wanted to say out loud as we finalize our application.
Okay.
What we need to do for that instance is we would track their minutes through the program that they utilize to regain credit. So that's how they would get their 45 minutes per day, is what TEA has outlined.
Okay, I like that, because if they work during the day, then they could still, like many of us go to school at night or
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
it's an innovation that we're looking at to, again, bring more students through the program that need this type of flexibility.
Right, absolutely. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the board? All right, if there are no more questions from the audience or the board, this will conclude our public hearing, and at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the request to submit an application for the Optional Flexible School Day Program, OFSDP, for the 2024-2025 school year as presented.
We have a motion. Second?
Second.
We have a second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Brantley. We appreciate it. All right, moving along to number 3, another public hearing on our 2024-25 budget, as well as A, public hearing for our 2024-2025 budget, and B, consider approval of amendment to the BISD compensation package and adopt the 2024-2025 budget for general debt services and food services. Our presenter here and hard worker, and who's put a lot of time and effort into this, Dina Egger, our Chief Financial Officer. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Had to get you smiling at first.
I'm glad to have this behind us. This evening, I'll be presenting the proposed budgets for adoption for the 24-25 school year, which include, as you mentioned, the general fund budget, the child nutrition budget, and the debt service budget. So this first slide contains all the necessary requirements leading up to the adoption of the district budgets. I'm not going to read through this slide for you, but I've included all this information to let you and the community know that all of these steps and conditions have been accomplished. So we're able to adopt this budget this evening. The proposed general operating fund budget includes all the revenues and expenditures necessary to operate the school district throughout the year. This budget is funded through property tax, state aid, other local revenue like interest earnings or gate receipts, and federal allocations. Our proposed general operating budget is $130.9 million, with a projected student membership of 13,497 students. This represents an increase of almost 500 students over the current year. The 24-25 budget has been built on several assumptions and recommendations that I've outlined on this slide, and I'll take you through this a little bit. We've taken a conservative approach to the average daily attendance estimate for next year with 3.4% increase over current ADA. This is one of, as you know, the largest drivers in our increased state aid. So as we see recovery in attendance numbers, we receive additional state aid. So each 1% increase in average daily attendance is approximately $800,000 to the budget. So our focus on attendance will continue to be a priority going into next year. We've received those preliminary property values from the Central Appraisal District showing growth at $8.46 billion. This represents a 9% increase over the prior year, but it's important to remember that the district is capped at a 2.5% growth rate in the state funding formula. So how this is accomplished is a decrease in the tax rate, which is currently estimated at $6.79. And I'll also remind you that voters approved the 100K homestead this past November. That homestead will continue into tax year 2024. We've included the consumer price index increase of 3.5% for our large contracted service with Gold Star for our transportation services. This year, I'm happy to say we've been fully staffed and routed for the majority of the year, so that's great news. The Central Appraisal District budget came in at $16,000 higher than last year, and their budget was included in your board packet in the May board meeting. We'll see 12.75% increase to healthcare insurance and a 65% increase to property casualty. So these two items are the largest increases we've seen really in this year and in many years. So that's a big hit to us. We've absorbed about $1.2 million of ESSER-funded payroll as that funding is set to expire. We've added 3 new positions for CTE programming at the middle schools. This is new programming. We have funding for new school startup of elementary number 9 at $83,000, and we're proposing a compensation adjustment of $2.4 million, which is a 2% across the board increase for all staff. And then we have some stipend changes totaling $180,000, the majority of which includes an increase for our special education teachers. So with all of these elements in consideration, again, we're proposing a total budget of $130.9 million with utilization of revenues across a couple different funding sources. This does represent an increase of $5 million over the current year's estimated actuals. So on this chart, the left column is an estimation of where we think this year may end at the end of June at $125.9 million. This will result in an increase to fund balance of approximately 2.2%, and that maintains our goal of at least 25% in fund balance reserves. So this increase to fund balance represents 0.6% of our overall budget. So to put that in perspective, it's saving less than a penny on the dollar. So it may seem like a large amount, but really, and when you put it in context, it's less than a penny. The right column is our proposed budget. We're forecasting revenues at around $129 million between tax collections, other local revenue, state aid, and federal dollars. Our total expenditures here are broken down between payroll and operations, with payroll representing 76.3% of overall expenditures. And you need to keep in mind that this year we did offset some payroll into grant funds for 24-25, so that percentage would normally be a little bit higher. So in looking at the general fund by function, you can see that almost 80% of our budget is spent directly on the classroom instruction and instructional support. So your instructional support is guidance counseling, nurses, all the things that are outside the classroom but support the classroom. And instruction is in the classroom. So that's the, on the donut here, it's the blue and purple portion. The remaining 20% is district operations, which is transportation, maintenance, utilities, and all the things that it takes to keep the district running. So moving on to child nutrition, we're recommending an operating budget of $8.2 million, and we finished up a great year. This was our first year with Taher. We had a great experience, and we look forward to exciting opportunities with their unique food experiences for our students going into next year. Our proposed debt service budget is $33.9 million, and this will cover our bond payments in August and February. And that brings us to our estimated tax rate. Our maintenance and operations tax rate is 66.69 cents compared to 66.92 cents in the current year, and we are able to maintain our interest in sinking our debt service tax rate at 40 pennies. And this is an overall tax rate, again, of $1.06.79, which is a very minor decrease over the current year. And then in looking at our tax rate over time, and I know y'all have seen this chart almost every presentation, but I think it's an important story to tell. We have been able to decrease our total tax rate by more than 37 cents since 2018. And again, we anticipate a very minor change to the tax rate going forward into 2024. So this evening, we are bringing the recommended budgets for 24-25 for the 24-25 fiscal year before the board for consideration of adoption. Then coming up in July, we receive our certified property values from the Central Appraisal District, which will enable us to prepare official tax rates. The tax rates I'm showing you today are preliminary. And then we'll bring that up to the board in August, and then we'll conduct another public hearing for the tax rate and adoption in September. And then before I conclude the public hearing, I just wanted to extend my appreciation for all the hard work that everybody put into this very challenging budget year. We all came together as a district and made some difficult decisions and sacrifices to get this budget ready for adoption, so I'm very grateful for that.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sager. Do we have any questions from the public? All right, any questions from the board?
One question. Way back on slide 3, you said how many students you projected, and then you said the ADA 11,900. So that's only an 88% ADA. So,
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's very conservative. What's our number now? Isn't it 92 or 93?
It's 92.
Okay.
What I did was I took the enrollment of where we are today and used our demographic report, and that change was a 3.4%. Then I applied that to our existing ADA. So it is very conservative.
Yeah.
Which will give us room to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Ms. Seacats?
Because I know you worked really hard on this budget, and I know that there were cuts that were made that hurt. So we really appreciate it. I did have a question about the money coming out of the fund balance. Is that going to affect any of our ratings?
So we will still be able to maintain that 25%. If you recall, $500,000 of that fund balance is workers' comp, which doesn't impact the general fund.
Okay.
It is it's its own fund in a different fund. So we'll still be at the 25%. So no, it will not.
Okay.
And if you recall, we did assign that fund balance several years ago with the use of ESSER funds for knowing that ESSER funds were going away for economic stabilization. So it was planned, and actually that was the recommendation from TEA in the first place.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Ms.
And
Reese?
so, Dina, could you just recapture property tax collections? So our district is subject to recapture by the state?
We are not. We are not in a recapture situation yet. As property values continue to grow, I have my eye on that. Every tax season, we're not there yet, and I think we have a few years to go still. So that's a good question. Thank you.
Dina, I noticed on one of the slides that you broke down between the salaries and the operations. It looks like we're cutting $1 million from operations. Is that going to affect us in some way? Are we losing people that we actually need with that $1 million cut?
So with the payroll or the operations side?
I was on the operations side. There was a slide that had the salaries. That about 76% of
a lot of the operations side of that is reductions that we've made.
Okay.
So we reduced software, we reduced all
And that's the
all the
15%
departments.
across the board cut as well?
Yep, 15% across the board, and that's all non-payroll related items.
Okay.
And remember, we did offset some payroll-related items as well, and non-payroll to grants. And, you know, I had the help of a lot of people to do that. So I'm, again, very grateful for that.
Increases on health, we're still able to offer a free option,
2 free options.
2 free options.
And I will say the 70% of all of our people on our healthcare plans are on the high deductible plan, which was impacted the least.
Thank you for sending me clarifying.
You're welcome.
Answers this week.
One more thing, am I reading this right, that the property casualty insurance went up 65%?
Yes, sir. And they stated that because we're in a pool, we share the experience of the nation.
And it's
So-
going to do that next year, too. Just look at all the weather events, but it's around the world. It's just not in Texas, and it's throughout the United States.
Yeah.
It's the reinsurance market. It's tough, and the benefits insurance as well, too.
And I already inquired about our deductible. It doesn't sound like we can go up.
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, that will conclude our public hearing. At this time, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the amendment to the BISD compensation package and adopt the 24-25 budgets for general fund, debt service, and food service as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
Second.
I'm sorry, second. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Wait a
All in
second.
favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I do, Mr. President, and I want my reasons to be put on the record. As y'all many know, that I am new to this, and I'm still trying to get a control over on the financials. I've not been privy with some of the discussions, and then also at the same time, some of the cuts that were done to the budget I disagree with, and I think that's just because I wasn't involved. So I look forward to working with you this next budget cycle, but I do oppose, and I recognize that it is on the compensation and the, you know, the debt service and what was the other one? The the food, yeah. But I do oppose I do oppose.
Thank you, Ms. Armstrong, for the explanation. So we do have 6 for, 1 opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work, Ms. Egger, and your team as well. Please pass that on to them. All right, moving along here, we have a superintendent's report and board discussion from our curriculum report to finance to human resource and student services to the operations department, police department report, as well as deputy superintendent's report. Those are all for information only. Now that moves us into our consent agenda. Would any board member like to pull a consent agenda item for discussion or discuss or have any questions on any consent agenda items?
I do, Mr. President. I've got 3, and it's just for my own, I've got questions.
Okay,
I don't need them being pulled. For instance, on item E, what is IMA?
What we use to pay for textbooks and technology services.
Oh, okay. And then the other one is the memorandum of understanding between the school district and Friends of the Children of Austin. Just general, is there a cost? Is there stats as far as the students that go through it, the success rate? What is it all about?
The Friends of the Children is a mentoring program that when an individual is assigned to a child, they stay with that child no matter what school district they are in. So a child, when they came to us, I believe it was from Austin ISD last year or 2 years ago, Friends of the Children approached us and said, could we please have an MOU so that our mentor can continue to mentor the child that now is enrolled in Bastrop ISD?
Oh, so this is a Austin mentor?
This particular one is, yes, but that's not necessarily what it would be. The adult just travels with the child, I mean, assuming they're in a mileage, you know, it works out for that adult mentor.
So the child was in Austin ISD and now is in Bastrop
That's
ISD.
correct.
And for him to be able to continue, or she to mentor, we had to have this amendment.
That's
Okay.
right, that's right. Ms. Trevino, is there anything else? Yeah.
So
okay.
we have one individual participating.
Okay, and they go through the same vetting background
Yes.
and such as that? Okay. And I think along the same lines is the item H is, again, the MOU with the connections of individual and family services. Just a general explanation would be helpful.
So Connections is a counseling service, a program here in this area. And we have, through that program, the counselor is able to come in and provide services on site to children who participate in that program or the family outside of our service. So we
keep
don't
any-
allow other private providers, you know, a psychiatrist or a psychologist in the area that's a private individual without any kind of, we don't allow that. But this particular one is a partnership between BISD and Connections.
Okay. Is there any stats as far as number of students, success?
We could certainly provide that for you.
Okay, so, I mean, it's kept somewhere.
I don't know if we're the ones keeping it or if Connections would, but we could certainly check into that for you.
Thank you.
And these are memorandums that we have to renew every year or approve.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the board on the consent agenda items? All right, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? My motion carries. Thank you. Moving along to our action items, we'll consider approval of audit engagement letter between BISD and Whitley Penn. Ms. Egger, our Chief Financial Officer, welcome back to the podium.
So at the January board meeting, we presented a renewal of external audit services with Belt Harris Pahachik for this fiscal year ending June 2024, at the end of this month. In late April, the district was informed that Belt Harris merged with a company called Crow LLP. They're headquartered in Chicago. We received their new engagement letter and their proposal. We made some inquiries. We asked for several referrals, and they were not able to give us any Texas referrals. And then we were under the understanding that they have never done audits in Texas for Texas ISDs. So we then made a decision to engage with a Texas-based audit firm, Whitley Penn, and this is a firm that I have worked with with several other districts prior to Bastrop. It is necessary for the board to approve this engagement letter this evening so that the audit staff can begin our preliminary testing. We're very late in the game because we did not get that proposal until May. So the engagement letter is included in your board packet. The estimated fees are $69,600, which is comparable to the engagement letter received from Belt Harris back in January. And I'm happy to answer any questions with that.
Does the fee that we pay, does that include their travel expenses? Because I know they're Texas-based, but are they coming from Dallas and Houston, or are they local in Austin? How does
That's
that
an
work?
excellent question. So part of the concern with the Crow engagement letter was that all of that was extra. With Belt Harris, we got advisory services throughout the year. All the travel was included. All the our books were included. With Crow, we'd have to pay for the books. So it was a very different type of engagement letter. So typically in Texas, yeah, it's all inclusive.
How often do you change CPA firms to do the audit?
So we've been with Belt Harris for a long time. Typically, you take a look every 5 to 8 years. That's the recommendation.
Any other questions from the board? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the contract with Whitley Penn to provide external audit services for fiscal year ending June 30, 2024.
We have a motion?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Egger. We appreciate it. Moving along to consider approval of curriculum adoption from the School Health Advisory Council. Dr. Janelle Morris, our Director of Student Services, and is Stacy Cunningham with you as well, or just you? All right.
I was going to do a joint presentation with our parent co-chair, Jenny Marshall, and unfortunately, she already had a trip planned out of town for this evening. And Stacy Cunningham is the community representative on our executive committee, but her babysitter fell through at the last minute. So it's just me, and I'm sorry, I will try not to bore y'all too much because it's a little bit of a jog here, but we've had a very productive year with the Student Health Advisory Council, or SHAC for short. It is appointed by the school district to serve at the district level. The majority of members are parents who are not employed by the district. We're governed by the Texas Education Code chapter, section 28.004, as well as some additional Senate bills and House bills. And we're required to meet at least 4 times a year in order to ensure that our local community values are reflected in health education instruction. We oversee health and physical education, community and family involvement, health and nutrition services, health promotion for employees, a healthy school environment, and counseling, psychological, and social services. This year, we inducted a 5-member executive committee, 4 of whom are voting members. I am the only member of that committee who is a non-voting advisory member. Voting membership for this SHAC is capped at 30 participants. We did adopt bylaws in November of 2023 outlining who should be considered for voting membership. So they must either be a parent of a current BISD student and not an employee of the district, or a current BISD employee, or the owner of a business within Bastrop ISD boundaries. We also have many non-voting advisory members present at our meetings who represent parents, social workers, other employees in the district, counselors both in the district and out of district, health professionals, physical education teachers, and we partner with several local agencies, including Bluebonnet Trails, Texas A&M AgriLife, the Family Crisis Center, and the Child Advocacy Center. Our objectives for the upcoming school year, and these were adopted at our final meeting by the voting membership, are that we will move forward next year to increase our family and community awareness regarding obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and mental health. We will also be partnering with Ascension Catholic Church to utilize grants funded from Toyota's Way Forward Foundation, and I thank Trustee Ruiz for all of her work on that, so that we can increase our family and community awareness regarding pediatric traumatic brain injury. We'll work to increase our family and community awareness about physical education and activity, child nutrition, parental involvement, substance abuse prevention, comprehensive school counseling, and safe, healthy learning environments. We'll also work on promoting adult wellness, including self-care techniques to prevent burnout and compassion fatigue, particularly among our teachers, nurses, and counselors. We'll provide free vetted resources to our families to address risky behaviors, early warning signs of suicide risks, and behavioral health concerns. And we will train our campus nurses, athletic training staff, and administrators to administer opioid antagonists. A brief anecdote on that final item: we did have a student at one of our middle schools this year who had used a vape that he thought contained THC, but the nurse observed and noticed that he was having a disproportionate response. They did administer Narcan there at the scene. By the time that he was transported by ambulance to the emergency room, they suspected that vape was actually laced with fentanyl, and they said that if the nurse had not administered that on campus, that he likely would not have survived that experience. So we want to make sure that we have plenty of staff on campus to be able to help in those situations. We did conduct 5 meetings this year. 4 is the minimum, but we had a lot of work to accomplish, so we had an additional meeting for voting to adopt the things that are outlined in Texas Education Code Section 28.004, Senate Bill 9, and House Bill 1525. We did adopt SHAC bylaws in November of 2023. We inducted a 5-member executive committee. The executive committee approved 26 applicants for voting membership in accordance with our bylaws. We considered recommendations for curriculum, programs, and instruction from the 5 SHAC subcommittees, which are drug and tobacco prevention, safety and security, mental health, health education, and student employee wellness. And in our final meeting of voting quorum, selected our Senate Bill 9 recommendations to present for the Board of Trustees consideration, which will take us into the items that we're asking you to consider this evening. Senate Bill 9 does require that all school districts adopt a procedure to provide instruction for students in regards to preventing child abuse and family violence at both the elementary and secondary levels. And then in our secondary grade levels only, 6 through 12, we also are required to adopt a procedure to provide instruction for dating violence and sex trafficking. In addition, the Texas Education Code, Section 28.004, requires that school districts choose whether human sexuality instruction will be provided to students in the classroom setting. So at the final SHAC meeting for the year, the following recommendations were approved by the majority of the voting quorum. For child abuse and family violence prevention instruction in the elementary grade levels, kindergarten through 5th, SHAC recommends that we use the Child Protection Unit of the Second Step curriculum. Second Step is currently utilized in our schools for character development and social emotional skills instruction. It was adopted in the 2021-22 school year, and our subscription will run through the 2025-26 school year. So this will not incur any additional expense to the district. For child abuse, family violence, dating violence, and sex trafficking prevention in the secondary grade levels, 6 through 12, the SHAC recommends using the courses provided by the Child Advocacy Center, or CAC, of North Texas, and Edgenuity. The CAC materials are provided to school districts at no cost, and Edgenuity is a platform to which we are already subscribed for our online student course offerings, so it also incurs no additional expense to the district. When it comes to human sexuality instruction, the SHAC does not recommend providing this information to students in the classroom setting. We feel that this is a sensitive topic, and it is shaped by family experiences, cultural norms, personal values, moral convictions, and religious beliefs. And for those reasons, we feel that subject is best instructed in the home by our children's first teachers, their parents. However, we do recognize that this is a delicate subject, and many of our parents feel uncomfortable trying to broach that conversation. So the SHAC is recommending that we provide free resources in English and Spanish. These have been vetted by Texas ESC Region 20, which is the San Antonio area, for our families to be able to access on our district website. That will enable them to have free tools that can guide them through how to engage with their children in age-appropriate conversations about those topics. And those are all of the SHAC recommendations for the 2024-25 school year. I'm happy to take any questions.
The Senate Bill 9 that requires us to do this, of course, they didn't provide any funding for any of these extras, did they?
Correct.
Okay.
They chose not to do that, just to put the mandate on us.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Question necessarily, Dr. Morris, but thank you so much. I know I bugged you a whole bunch this week.
No bother at all.
But I appreciate all the answers. I did want to get one more clarification. I appreciate that we're working with the Family Crisis Center again to collaborate on creating the training courses to be delivered by a certified teacher on the family violence, dating violence, things of that nature. And just one quick follow-up on the parental opt-out. Is that also one of the categories that parents will be able to opt out of?
That is a great question. So all of the Senate Bill 9 topics actually require parent opt-in. So there will be a Google form sent out at the beginning of next school year that will give instructions on what the parents are opting into if they wish to receive, and links for where they can go to preview those materials, and instructions on how to review the full curriculum at the service center if they choose to do so. And then they can complete that Google form to give consent if they wish to. If they do not give consent, then their children will not receive that instruction from us.
Okay. And then the only other thing is about the curriculum that isn't going to cost us anything because we have no funding. We did purchase some, though, in the past. correct? And we're going to be using some of the things we already have?
Yes, that is correct.
Which
So
was
we've purchased
all
Second
listed.
Step and we've purchased Edgenuity. We've just been utilizing them for things other than Senate Bill 9, but those pieces are already in that curriculum.
I do have some questions. Will the parents be able to at least review the curriculum and decide whether they want to opt in or opt out?
Yes, absolutely. There will be links to previews for materials that have been purchased, provided by Second Step, that will be housed on the SHAC website. And then if they want a full review of the curriculum, we have instructions that'll be posted on the SHAC website and are also listed in the student handbook for how they can request to come and do a full review of all the curriculum if they feel that the preview is not sufficient for what they need to know to make that informed
And
choice.
who will be teaching this curriculum? Is it the
That's a great question
teachers
as
or-
well. At the elementary level, it'll be done by the elementary school counselors. At the middle school level, it will be done in our human growth and development class, which is, in most of our seventh graders are enrolled in that, so it'll be the teacher who instructs that course. And then at the high school level, those platforms are online, so it'll actually be self-paced, asynchronous, done during their study hall period for the ninth graders.
Okay, I've just got two more. One is on the Second Step child on the curriculum. What other districts, just a few, what other districts use it?
Yes. Austin ISD uses it, Northwest ISD uses it, Mineola ISD uses it, Odessa ISD are some of the.
So it's used throughout?
Yes.
Okay.
It was developed by Texas State University and was funded by the U.S. Department of Education.
Okay. I don't know if you said it or I heard something about the Second Step child, and, you know, there's SEL, social emotional learning. What, I think it was addressed earlier, but talk to me, is that something that we're going to approach, teach? How is that? And unfortunately, there's bad connotation with those.
Yes, you're absolutely right. There is a negative connotation surrounding social and emotional learning. The Second Step curriculum offers 20 separate lessons, and we as a district do not cover all 20 of those lessons. It's very broad in the sense that they wanted districts to have flexibility to be able to address the topics that are most pressing needs in their district. We are not a district that engages in some of the more controversial topics like gender identity, critical race theory. Currently, what we teach out of the Second Step curriculum are problem-solving skills, how to be a good friend, how to empathize, and emotional regulation, which are strategies for when you have negative feelings, maybe you're sad, maybe you're angry, maybe you're disappointed. All of those feelings are okay, but there are healthy ways to express that, and there are unhealthy ways to express that. And especially at the elementary level, some of our children haven't learned those healthy ways yet, so they may scream or throw things or stomp on the ground and throw a tantrum. So we're trying to help them with things like being able to express, I feel sad right now, or I need a minute, can I please go and get a drink of water? Can I go take a walk down the hall so I can calm myself down?
Can adults go in that one?
I would definitely feel that adults
feel
need
sad
emotional
right now.
regulation skills.
Yeah, oh, is that, okay, good. All right, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions from the board? Righty, at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the curriculum adoption from the Second Health Advisory, the School Health Advisory Council as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and that's for year 2024 and 2025. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Our motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Morris, we appreciate it. The remaining of the agenda items, there we go, thank you. That's why this is a team of 8. All right, number C, we'll consider adoption of a 2024-2025 Student Code of Conduct. Dr. Morris, I'm sorry, continue, please.
Okay, this one will be much shorter. 2024 is a non-legislative year, so we are only recommending 3 minor additions to the existing Bastrop ISD Student Code of Conduct, which is our fundamental guiding document for the school district to promote a safe, secure, and optimal learning environment for all students. The proposed changes are, number 1, adding language to specify clarify that using artificial intelligence or AI to complete student assignments is considered a form of academic dishonesty, and that will reflect the updates that are being made to the 2024-25 Technology Acceptable Use Policy. The second recommendation is adding language to clarify that although House Bill 114, which was passed in 2023, classified e-cigarette offenses as a mandatory DAEP assignment on the first occurrence, our District of Innovation plan has created an alternative disciplinary approach. So we will assign in-school suspension and a restorative program so that students are learning about the dangers of substance abuse during their first and second e-cigarette offenses, and then we will send them to DAEP if they commit a third e-cigarette offense. And then the final recommendation is that we are requesting to add language that explains, although we do provide bus transportation to and from our DAEP, certain students may become ineligible for that transportation if they choose to engage in conduct that would pose a potential safety risk to other students, the driver, or surrounding traffic if they were to commit similar actions on a moving vehicle, whether that conduct was committed at their home campus, resulting in their initial DAEP placement, or while they are at Gateway, or while they are on the bus route. And if there is a conflict between any language in the Student Code of Conduct and Student Handbook, terms of the Student Code of Conduct will be followed.
Any questions from the board?
Dr. Morris, believe it or not, we went to class last week and had our annual training, and one of the classes was about AI and how it's really a good thing. And some people hear it and think it's a negative, but it's something that I use in my business. It's something that I think a lot of employers are coming out and wanting the students that come out of high school to be able to use to run businesses at this time. My understanding is as far as the code of conduct goes, this is only punitive if they're using it to cheat. It's not punitive if it's as part of an assignment, or we're actually training with it, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think that's a great point that you bring up, because just like with any technological resource, it can be great, but we do have the responsibility to teach our students how to use it with discretion. So I remember when I was going through school and we started being able to utilize internet as a resource in our research papers, there was a long discussion about how you need to look for sites that end in .gov or .edu, because those are going to have information that you can view as reliable, as opposed to, you know, somebody's social media page, which is not a vetted resource. So yes, that's a great point. We do want our students to be knowledgeable about how to use AI, but we want them to use it responsibly and understand that's not an excuse to.
And I'll even raise you one more, because when I was in school, we couldn't use calculators. Now, it's almost expected,
Yeah.
and you see how far we've come, and I don't want to, 40 years, right? So, so
Just to make,
you might have used an abacus, Mr. Moore.
rocks and sticks.
All right, any more questions for Dr. Morris here? All right, thank you very much. If there are none, I'll entertain a motion at this time.
I move to approve the adoption of the 24-25 Student Code of Conduct as presented.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Morris. We appreciate it. All right, now, the remaining of the agenda items for tonight's meeting are provided as information only. I want to let you know that there will be no board meeting in July. This will allow our board members and staff to enjoy the time with their families over the next few weeks. Our regular scheduled board meeting will resume in August. And as mentioned, the rest of the items are for information only. Is there any objections to adjourning this meeting? If there are none, then meeting adjourned. Thank you.